Then my lips and hers quickly found each other. At this time, she was breathing heavily, but she suddenly pushed me away and said, "Hey, close the door. If you forget who comes in, it will be miserable." I quickly did as she said. She was old, like a thirsty person who had just found a cool stream, immersing herself in it to splash around. I used all my skills, and every corner of the room was marked with traces of happiness. Welcome to Secret Love Tales channel. If you love emotional and engaging love stories, then come to our channel. Here, we will bring you stories full of surprises, touching and engaging. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any interesting stories. In today's video, we would like to send you a story called My Landlady. Please follow along. I am Isaac, 25 years old, currently working as a worker at an electronics company. I rent a room about 3 kilometers from my workplace. My boarding house has 15 rooms, mostly occupied by workers from my company. I am still single, tall, and have dark skin. My boarding house is very safe because the landlady's husband is a police officer, so there has never been any theft or fighting. Everyone living in the boarding house feels safe and comfortable. The boarding house is only a few steps away from the landlady's house. The landlady is over 40 this year, and the landlady is much older than her, probably over 50. Because of her comfortable life and lack of worries, she is quite young, plump, and has white skin. Every evening, when everyone has gone home from work, she often comes to the boarding house to check the situation of the rooms and ask if anyone has had any problems. She was very friendly and always cared about everyone in the boarding house, so everyone loved her. Because she had nothing to do and her husband left early in the morning and didn't come back until late at night, sometimes for a whole week, she had a lot of free time. Sometimes when everyone else was at work, she would come over to check the room locks and whether the car was locked or not. She was extremely careful. I have just moved into this boarding house for 3 months. Every day, seeing the landlady walking around, I also feel pleased. Sometimes she wears a dress that looks extremely sexy, extremely cool. I am a young man with abundant vitality, so sometimes I feel very stuffy inside. My thoughts are very dirty, but I cannot stop them. I have never had a chance to talk to the landlady because I live quite a private life. Maybe I am not like other people. I mainly ask to work the night shift. Sometimes the whole boarding house works during the day and I am the only one working at night because I have nothing but good health, and working at night will pay much higher than working during the day. That morning, when I came home from the night shift, I was wearing shorts and was preparing breakfast, when suddenly the door opened. The landlady was standing right outside the door. I turned around and saw her smiling. Hello, what's up?" She stammered for a moment before finally saying, "I just came here to check. I saw your room door open. I thought you forgot to lock it." Her face turned a little red. I saw that and smiled. "I just got home from work. I work nights this month," I said as I walked to the door, closer to her. I don't know why at that moment I walked closer to her as if she had some kind of attraction that made me do so. Seeing me at such a close distance, I saw her face getting redder, which made me smile even more. She felt more embarrassed than before, so she only said a few more sentences and then left the boarding house. At that moment, I had no idea that her heart was pounding. An indescribable feeling was happening inside her. That feeling made her both worried and happy. On the way back, she suddenly smiled mysteriously. Only she knew what that smile represented. The landlady's mind could not escape the image of the young man with strong muscles and a healthy body standing right in front of her. Countless strange emotions of hers were focused on that figure. It had been a long time since she had been close to her husband, and now the heat inside her was burning fiercely. Her husband was always away on business trips, and he was quite old, so their sex life was no longer as passionate as before. She was in the prime of her life, the age that she always longed for, but her husband could not satisfy her. Every time she asked, he would avoid her. Sometimes when she asked too much, he would have to make an excuse to go on a business trip, so she looked at him and felt resentful in her heart. Today, seeing the young man with strong muscles right in front of her made her feel excited and restless. Then, suddenly, a bold thought appeared in her mind. She wanted to possess that body. As soon as the thought appeared, she felt extremely excited. All day long, Isaac's image kept appearing in her mind. Those strange feelings kept making her restless. She remembered Isaac's toned muscles, bright smile, and bright eyes. Her heart beat faster every time she thought of that scene. In the afternoon, when everyone started to go home from work, she went to the boarding house as usual. But today she had a different purpose. She wanted to see Isaac one more time. She wanted to confirm that her feelings were not just fleeting. Entering the boarding house, she tried to keep her composure, checking each room, asking everyone as usual. Arriving at Isaac's room, she stood in front of the door, took a deep breath, and knocked. Isaac opened the door, standing there with a bright smile. "Hello, what's the matter?" She felt her heart pounding. Trying to stay calm, she replied, "I just came to check if everything is okay." "Are you tired from working at night?" Isaac smiled and replied, "It's nothing. I'm used to it." She looked at Isaac for a long time, her eyes unable to leave his strong body. She said a few more words and then left the room. But in her heart, she knew she couldn't stop here. That bold thought was becoming clearer and clearer in her mind. That night, her husband had not returned from a business trip yet. She lay down on the bed sadly. Images of the naked young man kept flooding into her head, covering her mind, making it impossible for her to sleep. The fire of passion and desire burned inside her more and more intensely. Unable to stop thinking about him, her hands began to move. Since her husband could not satisfy her, she had a habit of making friends with her fingers when she needed them. She closed her eyes, began to imagine the spring scene, and emotions welled up inside her. She lay still and began to enjoy the comfortable feeling that was creeping through her body, and then she fell asleep in endless happy thoughts. The next morning, when she woke up, she felt more excited than ever. She really wanted to see Isaac right away, but he hadn't come home from work yet. She sat on the second floor outside the porch, waiting for him to pass by. Waiting until almost 8 o'clock and still not seeing him return, she was extremely impatient. She tried to calm herself down, reminding herself not to be so hasty. Another 20 minutes passed, and finally she saw Isaac driving home. She was secretly happy. Where did he go that took so long? I've been waiting forever. As soon as the words left her mouth, she suddenly laughed as if she was embarrassed with herself. She decided to create an opportunity to meet Isaac naturally. She went downstairs, prepared some breakfast, planning to bring it over to Isaac as a way to show her concern as a landlady. When she saw Isaac driving his bike in, she walked over carrying a tray of food. "Isaac, you just got back? I prepared some breakfast. Eat to ease your fatigue." Isaac smiled gratefully. "Thank you, I just finished my night shift. I'm very hungry." She watched Isaac eat, feeling her heart beat faster. This closeness made her both worried and excited. She sat down and talked to Isaac for a while, creating a comfortable and friendly feeling. She felt more and more attracted to Isaac's strength and youth. She knew she was stepping onto a dangerous path, but the temptation was too great for her to stop. All day long, the feeling of being by Isaac's side and getting closer made her happy. She always smiled. Her mood was extremely excited. She slept very well and comfortably all night. The next morning, she felt healthier than ever. As for me, today was like usual. I got off work at 7 a.m. My team members invited each other to have breakfast. I happily agreed. We went to a pig intestine restaurant. Each of us drank a few glasses of wine with a plate of small intestine and a bowl of noodles. Drinking alcohol in the morning makes it easy to get drunk, so everyone only drank a few glasses. Just like that made me feel lightheaded. When we finished, we all left. I had no idea that the landlady was eagerly waiting for me. When I got back to my room, all the rooms were locked. I went into the bathroom and brushed my teeth and washed my face to feel comfortable. As soon as I opened the door to go out and smoke a cigarette, I was surprised to see the landlady just coming. I was startled and looked back to see her holding a bag of fruit in her hand. She saw me and smiled. then held my hand and pulled me into the room. I bought some fresh fruit. Eat it to regain your strength, she said. I smiled and thanked her. At this time, I still felt dizzy from the alcohol. She was still holding my hand. When she turned around, she saw that I was only wrapped in a towel. She stared at me without blinking, and then, as if unable to control herself, she hugged me tightly. When I saw her like that, I hugged her too. The longing for that body suddenly became a reality. I couldn't stop. As for her, she had been craving me for so long. Today, she was determined to win it, so she was very proactive. She was just afraid that I would push her away and criticize her for being old. But I didn't expect me to be so proactive. Then my lips and hers quickly found each other. At this time, she was breathing heavily. But she suddenly pushed me away and said, "Hey, close the door. If you forget who comes in, it will be miserable." I quickly did as she said. Then she was like a thirsty person who had just found a cool stream. She immersed herself in it and enjoyed it to her heart's content. As for me, I use all my skills, and every part of my room is filled with traces of happiness. After finishing her work, she took my phone, dialed hers, and said, "You must keep our relationship a secret. Otherwise, neither of us will be able to live well." I nodded and stood up, and she and I quickly shared a passionate kiss. She left, telling me to rest well. "I have your number. I will call you." I locked the door and went to bed. After working the night shift, drinking a few glasses of wine, and working at high capacity, I quickly fell into a deep sleep. She went home, went into the bathroom. Her body still had strong traces of the intense feeling that had just happened. She smiled. "He is so strong. The feeling that I have not enjoyed for a long time makes me feel 10 years younger." While bathing, she thought about it. 2 days later, her husband came home from work. She still asked him for things as usual, but her husband only did a little bit for formality and quickly went to bed. She did not ask for anything more and gradually fell asleep. The next morning, when her husband had just left for work, she immediately called Isaac. Since the first time with Isaac, she could not hold back. Last night, her husband only did enough to scratch the itch, which made her feel that it was not enough. This morning, she had to find Isaac to relieve that thirst. The phone rang. Isaac had just finished bathing when he saw her call and immediately picked up. On the other end of the line, her voice rang. "Can you come to my house for a bit? The machine is broken. Can you come over and help me fix it?" Hearing that, Isaac felt relieved. He had been feeling stuffy for the past few days, so Isaac quickly got dressed and went to her house. Isaac walked through the tall gate and into the house. Her house was extremely rich and luxuriously furnished. She locked the gate, left the door ajar, and led Isaac into the room. We were ready for an endless climb. That's why everyone climbed to the top easily. 30 minutes later, I poured out all my longing. She seemed to faint in happiness and overwhelming emotions. She smiled with a satisfied face. I didn't say anything or do anything, just kept quiet and left. When I got back to my room, I received a text message from her. She said she loved me very much and thanked me for coming to her and showing her what happiness was. But things could never stay in the dark forever, because I was taking care of her, and the time she asked her husband for things became less. Her husband found it strange because he knew her needs were very high. However, he said nothing, just silently watched. That day, my wife and I were taking turns stirring up the sublime emotions. She was about to reach climax when suddenly her bedroom door was kicked open. He stood in front of the door, his face full of murderous intent. I was flustered, and she immediately hugged his legs tightly, crying and begging. I had finished dressing. When I saw that, I quickly ran out the door and disappeared. He told me not to chase after him, because he worked in the industry. If this matter was exposed, he would have no face to meet others. He didn't say anything, just stood there silently. She swore and promised over and over that she would never let such a thing happen again. I quickly returned to my rented room, packed my things, and left immediately. I moved to another rented room several kilometers away from my grandparents, changed my phone number, and have not been in contact since. As for my grandmother, I don't know if she was forgiven or what happened to her after that. That's the end of my story. Since then, I have never thought about married people. That one time was enough for me to remember. Today's story has come to an end. We have experienced together the tense moments, passion, and unexpected events in the stormy relationship between the young man and the landlady. Through this story, we see more clearly the complex emotions of human beings, from passionate desire to regret and inevitable consequences. The young man had to face reality and realize that extramarital relationships always bring many risks and suffering. In the end, leaving and cutting off all contact was the right choice, helping him gain valuable lessons about life and love. Ladies and gentlemen, our story today will stop here. Thank you for taking the time to watch the entire video. Hopefully, the details and emotions in the story have brought you interesting and meaningful moments. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below the video to let me know your opinion. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any stories in the future. Each of your subscriptions and likes will motivate me and the program production team to create more attractive videos. And now, let's say goodbye and see you in the next videos. Wish you a wonderful day.